Today it's part one of how not to tell a story. Hey, it's Tom Jackobs, TomJacobs.com. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And if you haven't checked out my website, TomJacobs.com, please do that. And you can see all the things that I'm up to, as well as previous blog articles and videos. And you can also download some really great resources as well. So let's dive into today's topic. This is part one on a two-part series that I've developed on how not to tell a story. I wanted to tell you about three areas where you absolutely want to avoid. The first is how you start your story out. So you never want to start with, let me tell you a story. You're automatically telling a story, so you don't need to tell your audience that you're telling a story. You also never want to say, oh, this is hilarious, you're going to really love this story. Well, they may or may not, and you're setting yourself up for a little failure there if it doesn't hit and it isn't very funny, or they aren't going to learn a lot from it. The second piece of how not to tell a story is you want to avoid rambling on. That's why it is so very important to write out your stories first, so that you know exactly what points that you want to create when telling your stories. So it helps you from rambling on. Nobody wants to go on and on and on about nothing that doesn't get to a point at all. They want you to get to the point of your story as soon as possible. Every word absolutely matters, so avoid rambling on. You also want to avoid being too vague with your story. You know, like I had said in the previous video, saying things like, well, I was in my house or I was in my car. Well, describe it. Be very specific about the situation so you can create that connection with your audience and you can both be seeing the same thing in your minds. But being too vague with it, it opens up too much interpretation and you aren't really bringing that audience into the story with you. So let's flip that around. So this is how to tell a story. You definitely want to have a purpose for your story, a goal that you want to achieve. You want to also create that learning moment in there, what you learned from the story and how it relates back to your product. And I said that in a previous video, but it's that important. The story needs to have a purpose to it, and it needs to drive to a sale of some sort. You definitely need to plan out your story, write it out so that you can make sure that you hit all the high points. You want to make sure that you are rehearsing it, but not memorizing it. This is something that I work with a lot of my private clients with, is how to retell the story so it doesn't sound memorized or that you're just speaking the story. But you definitely need to have it planned out so that you make sure you hit all the points and you aren't rambling on and doing all the stuff that I was talking about avoiding doing. And writing it out, make sure that you are very strategic with the words that you use, because words do matter in the context of telling a story. And you want to make sure that each word has an impact and has the right impact on the audience. So there you go, how not to tell a story. Part one, and a couple tips on how to make sure that that story is impactful. So if you like this video, make some comments below, put a little thumbs up. I really appreciate that. I do reply to all comments. And until next time, you have a nice day.